Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Hindu News Analysis. Well, the date is 30th July 2025, and in this video we are going to discuss some important articles which are very much relevant for your preparation. But before we'll start our discussion, as usual, I would like to give you the brief introduction about this initiative so that if you are new to our channel, you will get more connected with us. Basically from 2nd June, we had started an initiative here by the name Target IAS 2026. Under this initiative, we had promised you that every day we are going to upload two videos on our YouTube channel. One in the morning session or afternoon session, which is this video, where we will discuss the current affairs of yours, or I can say where we will discuss the important articles in the newspapers which are relevant for your preparation, so that we will try to give you the idea how these articles are relevant for your exams, maybe for prelims or mains if the article is so written, and how we can derive the questions from these articles. This would be our focus in this video. This is mostly our focus in this video to cover your current affairs. And in the evening session, we had promised you that we will upload another video where we will discuss the static syllabus of yours. And here we had started with the Indian polity, which we had already completed. Everything with respect to Indian polity we had completed, whether it would be related to prelims or mains, whatever concept was there which is relevant for your preparation, we had already completed, and we had uploaded those 30 lectures on our YouTube channel, on this channel itself. And now what we are doing, we are discussing the governance, and we had already completed 5 lectures of governance, and today we are going to upload the 6th lecture of governance. So please, if you do want to be the part of this initiative, please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends, and do write in the comments what else should we bring for you guys. And also one more thing which I forget to tell you here, that here in the static syllabus we had promised you that by the month of January 2026 we are going to complete your full syllabus, whether it would be related to prelims or mains. As I always say, every subject would be cleared, but covered, but only without, but there is an exception, and that exception is of the optional subjects. Only optional subjects will not be covered here. And one more thing, as we are preparing, as we are delivering your lectures here, at the same time we are preparing notes for you guys. These notes are so good written. You will see the difference when you will read them, if you want to read them. After every concept which we had brought there, we had discussed it with respect to how it is relevant with your exam, and how the questions can be asked. If the topic is related to your prelims preparation, then the prelims questions. If it is related to your mains preparation, then the mains questions are given there. So if you want to get access to these notes, you just have to mail us, and you would be told to pay 200 rupees. It is totally your discretion. If you want it, then it is fine. If you want to read them, these notes will complement my lectures here. So I can promise you one thing here, that if you will watch my videos and read the notes, nothing should stop you from clearing any exam which you are preparing for. This is what I can say here. Rest, it is up to your discretion. If you want it, that is fine. But I will again request you guys, please do subscribe the channel, do share it with your friends, so that they may also get benefited from this initiative. And please do write in the comments what else should we bring for you. If we are lacking at anywhere, please do correct us. And the whole motive is to help you, and at the same time to improve ourselves. So please do write in the comments what else should we bring, and if there is the need of any change, we will try to bring in that too. So now, without any delay, let's start our discussion. First, let me rub it. As here you can see on the screen, the article is basically talking about the formalization, adopt formalization to power productivity growth. So what is this article all about? Let's try to break down that. Sorry. Well, this article, it has highlighted a few important points which are very much necessary for us to understand. It has highlighted that over time, in the manufacturing sector, what is happening right now, that these industries, what they are doing, these formal industries, or this formal sector, what they are doing, they are hiring the informal employees. So what this article is trying to say, that over the time, what we are seeing, that these formal, this formal sector of our economy, in it they are hiring these contractual labor, contractual employees. They are hiring these employees on the contractual basis, on the contract basis. And it is being, the numbers is being raising every time. If we will see the data, what was the data in 2000, in the year 1999 to 2000, approximately it is said that 20% of these employees were contract laborers. 20% were contract laborers. And if we look at the data right now in 2022, the data is very much different, and it is very much evident that it has doubled since then. Approximately 40.7% are the contract laborers. And for the companies, if we will ask them why they are doing so, why these formal companies are opting for this informal employment, the reason they are highlighting that, it gives them the wide space. First of all, they are able to, they it gives them the operational flexibility. This by hiring these informal sector employees, by hiring this contract laborers, it gives them the operational flexibility. First, operational flexibility. And second, what happens with this, that these companies, these formal sectors, they are able to tap the right skills for specific jobs. They are able to tap the right skills for specific jobs. And also at the same time, it is the same work they are doing what their permanent staff will do, but at a very low wage. It is very much economically productive for them. And it is estimated that the wage difference between these two kinds of employees is something around 14 to 31%. So there is huge wage difference. And these formal sectors, they opt for this informal labor. They opt for this informal hiring, so that it will give them the opportunity, it widens their space, it gives them the operational flexibility. And whatever they require, what job they require, they can tap the proper skills. This is what these companies are saying with respect to their why they are hiring these informal laborers. But the question here is that, is it all about these companies? Is it only this, this picture, what we are understanding here, that by doing this, by opting for the informal sectors, these companies will get benefited, or the economy will get benefited? But the story is little different. At the same time, if the companies are thinking about themselves, then they should also look at other aspects of it. For example, if there is any contractual labor who is not emotionally connected with your company, and who does not have any security given by you, how he will be that emotionally connected with your company? How his efficiency will be that good with respect to the company? He will not think that company belongs to him. One of the important ways you can motivate your staff for working in your company is that you have to give them belief that this company belongs to them. If they don't have this belief at all, if their mentality is different, if they are not they are working for themselves and they are on the contract basis, and they know that there is no security of job for them, then definitely they will not be emotionally connected with your company, and eventually they will not work that efficiently. This is also one side of the argument. And the second side, which is the most important side, which is highlighted here, that these laborers, these contract laborers, even though they are working so hard, they are trying to earn their wages, but at the same time, if unfortunately any accidents would happen to these people, or they don't have the social securities, they don't have the pensions, and they get no security from the company, and eventually it is these people who get impacted, who are getting badly impacted because of this work. So this article, the author of this article highlights that how important it is for the companies, for this formal sector of our country, to go for the formalization of the laborers, to go for the formalization of the employees, so that it will tap out the real potential of these people who are working for this sector. And at the same time, if we look at these contractual employees, they don't even get the protection under the industrial dispute acts. under industrial dispute acts, where the industrial laborers get the protection, the employer cannot fire them at any time, but these contractual laborers, they don't get such protection, because they are there for they may be there for only 6 months, even though they require that the unavailability of the jobs in the country. They force this unavailability of the jobs, this unemployment force them to go for these contracts. But eventually, at the wider perspective of this, it is these people who are getting impacted. Even their flexibility, even their even though they might be highly qualified, even though they might have the good skills, but at the same time their security, it is minimum than those who are working in these industrial labors. At least they have the protection under the Industrial Disputes Act. This is what this author is trying to say here, that please, it is the right time for these industries and right time for the government to to in a way incentivize these companies, to in a way to force these companies to to motivate these companies to go for the formalization of the employment, to go for the even if they will remain at the contract levels, but these contractors should be more than 5 years, it should be more than 10 years, so that eventually both parties will get benefited in the right way possible. This is what this article actually is talking about. So in this article, what did we learn? Let's try to recap. Let's try to make it a little bit formal. First thing, what we understood from this article is that in our country, in the formal sector, the informalization of employment has increased. In 1999, it was only 20%, and in 2022, it is 40%. So it has doubled since 2000. And second, then why they are opting for it? What is the reason for that? Reason is what companies are saying, that they are saying that it gives them the operational flexibility. Second, it gives them to tap right skills for specific tasks. And then the third, they don't need to give any social services. They don't need to give social service like gratuity funds and all that, like pensions. They don't need to give it to them, because it is only for the contracts. This contract may last between 5 months to 1 year, maybe maximum 1 year. So they don't have to care about that. They don't have to care about their security. They don't have to care about their future. They are just to work. They would be given the tasks and they have to complete the tasks. And at the same time, the wages for the same work, if it would have been their permanent employee, then the wage difference would have been huge. It is estimated that approximately around 14 to 30% of the wage difference is there if you are having the contractual employee and if you are having the permanent employee. Now let's analyze it. Is it good for the industry if they opt for it? Then we analyzed it. And we saw that if the employee is not connected with the employer, if there is no emotional connection, if they don't feel security, then they would not be motivated to work for the company. They would just use their time, do the work, and they would not do it efficiently. So there would be a lack of emotional connectivity, and they will not be able to contribute to the company what the company would expect from them. And also at the same time, it is not all about the companies, it is about these employees too. It is about these contractual laborers too. The ultimate goal is this security of these people. They don't get enough security, they don't have the pensions, they don't have the gratuity funds at all. And if we'll compare them with the industrial laborers, at least industrial laborers, they have this protection under the Industrial Disputes Act, which gives them this protection that the employer cannot fire them at any time. They have this protection, and these contractual laborers, they don't have this protection at all. Now what is the recommendation here by this article? The article here highlights that it is prime time for the government to look into this matter, and it is the government, they should encourage these companies to go for the permanent employment. These companies should go for the permanent employees. And in this regard, the government of India, they had brought up various schemes. Lastly, in this year's budget, they had brought the employment linked incentive schemes. So government is trying to do it, and it should further encourage these companies to go for this permanent employment, so that it will be good for both the company as well as these employees. They will get the protection and they will feel connected with the company, and eventually they will contribute to the company. So this is what this article is trying to highlight here. With this, I hope you had understood it. Now let's move to the another article and try to see what is there. Well, the article here is trying, as the you can see as the title, what did the International Court of Justice say on climate obligations? Well, the International Court of Justice, well, what this article is actually about, to understand it, first we have to look into the matter of the global warming. Globe is warming. Reason for that, emissions, carbon emissions. And who is emitting? If presently we will see, it is the developing and underdeveloped countries. Developing presently and underdeveloped countries, these are the countries who are mostly emitting the greenhouse gases, if we look at the data. But is this the real story? The global warming, world is there, the population in, civilization in the world, the coming of humans in the world. Maybe you may believe the religious perspective, you may believe in the theory of creation, or you may believe in the theory of evolution. People had been there in the world, but why? All those people, they had burned something, they had used the fuels. But right now, is it fair that we will only blame these countries? Is it really fair? No, it is not fair. So this thing was taken up in the Kyoto Protocol in 1997. It was decided that there is something called the common but differentiated responsibility. Common but differentiated responsibility. What is this? Actually, the idea behind this common but differentiated responsibility is that these developing and underdeveloped countries under group G77, what they said, that sir, you developed countries, look at yourself. You had colonized us for years, and when the industrialization started, it started in your backyard, and you started burning fuels without any hesitation. There was no there was no cap on you, there was nothing, there were nobody was stopping you, and you had burned so much fuel, you had contributed to this pollution so much that even today we are not able to cool that down. So now it is not fair, when you had understood, when you had already destroyed the environment, it is not now fair that you will be left alone and you will only blame us. It is not totally fair. Now what you should do, that there is something called common but differentiated responsibility, that you will contribute for our development. You will give fund, you will be the ones who will contribute more for the green energy, for the green environment, and also at the same time you will give funds to us too, so that we will also achieve this zero emissions. We can also achieve this zero emissions. And it was adopted in 1997, and these parties agreed. But eventually the time passed, it went on, things went on, different organizations and different meetings, different conventions were adopted, and finally there was something called Paris Agreement. In the Paris Agreement, it was all there, it was also discussed. But this Paris, one idea about this Paris Agreement was that, one important point, all these agreements which were achieved, or all these conventions after the Kyoto Protocol, whichever was achieved there, this Paris Agreement, it did not discuss it about this, common but differentiated responsibility. It did not, discuss it at all. And at the same time, this Paris Agreement also talked about the goals, what should be the goals for these nations, till 2000, how much we should restrict these global temperature. It gave two goals. First, 2 degree, within 2 degree we should restrict it before industrialization, or 1.5 degrees, and different goals were given in the Paris Agreement. But this common but differentiated principle was not discussed. Now these developed countries, they knew that this common but differentiated responsibility is not good for them. And these developed countries, they started believing that this Paris Agreement, in a way has diluted this concept of common but differentiated principle, and we are not supposed to pay to these people, and we are not supposed to invest more. There should be equality right now. The present equality should be there, but that is not the case. There should be the equity, not the equality. So they are believing this, and eventually the case went to the ICJ, which is International Court of Justice, and International Court of Justice has to, give advice over it, whether Paris Agreement has diluted the common but differentiated responsibility or not. So here, first of all, we should know about the International Court of Justice. Then we will look at its judgment, what it has given. This International Court of Justice, it is a primary organ of UN. Primary. These are some important facts which may be very much relevant for your prelims preparation. Primary organ of UN, and its headquarters is in Hague, Netherlands. Headquartered in Hague, Netherlands, and how many judges are there in the International Court of Justice? It is 15 judges. There are 15 judges, and for how long they would be judges? They would be judges for 9 years, and who elects them? They are elected by the United Nations General Assembly and United Nations Security Council. They elected these 15 judges. And what is its role? It has two roles. First, it will settle disputes. International Court of Justice, it will settle disputes. It will settle disputes between the member countries, and at the same time it will have the advisory, it will give the advisory opinion if sought by any international organization. So right now this advisory opinion was sought by the United Nations, UNCCC, and what the International Court of Justice said, that it clearly highlighted that no, the Paris Agreement, it is not diluting it. In fact, this common but differentiated responsibility, it is something, the basics, like we have the basic structure in our constitution. Similarly, common but differentiated principle is the basic, is the fundamental, fundamental to this, to the climate change. It is very much fundamental to the climate change, and it is not diluting it. And also it also highlighted that if now, as it talked about that it is the responsibility, common but differentiated responsibility of the countries to contribute. But at the same time, economy is something which grows by time, which evolves by the time. Countries evolve by itself, and right now this ICJ, it gave the verdict that these countries who are adopting, who are evolving, they should also evolve their responsibility with respect to that. So this is the whole crux of this article. I hope you had understood it. What kind of question can be asked in the exam, whether the Paris Agreement has diluted, a direct question, has diluted the common but differentiated responsibility, or we can say Kyoto Protocol. So this type of question can be asked, or questions with respect to prelims can be asked with respect to International Court of Justice. Now with this, let's move to the another article and see what we have brought here. Well, here the third article is about the Bihar's dark side, the hub of girl child trafficking. Very unfortunate. Even though we are living in the 21st century and these things are still prevailing in our society, this is very unfortunate. In fact, we have different legislations with respect to that. We have POCSO Act, we have various juvenile justice, we have even the constitution prohibits the child trafficking, trafficking, child labor, all that, but still it is prevailing in our country. And this article, in nutshell, what it is trying to say, that it is the lack of legislation, it is not the lack of legislation, but it is the implementation of the legislation which is lacking in our country. This even though we have these laws, but they are not implemented properly. And it is also the moral turpitude of these of our society, that the corruption which is going on, the corruption which is living in our society, it is a corrupt nexus between the politicians and the police. It is a corrupt nexus between the elected executive and the administrative executive. And also there is something called, in the Bihar, there is something called dance troops. They would go in the, especially in the rural areas, they will go into the rallies, and these young ladies are told or forced to dance in front of the drunken man. So in this way this trafficking is done, or the economic stability in the families is very weak, and these families, they sell their children, they sell their child daughters to these dance troopers, and they pay them, or they will be lured, or they would be, kidnapped. These children would be kidnapped and they are forced to it. And the reason is, even though we have the legislations, we have the laws, but there is no strong implementation, and definitely there is nexus between these dance troopers and the and what and these law and these policemen, or we can say politicians. And at the same time, if we look at the Bihar, it is surrounded in the areas, the states surrounded by there, it is highly child traffic zone, and it is bordering Nepal too, so that is also the area known for it. So this vulnerability is very huge here. So it is time for the people there to realize the importance of the children, to realize how worse this crime is, and to put end to it. Their sanitization is required, the proper training of the policemen is required, so that they will realize how important it is, that how important the morality of a person is. This cannot be, this should not happen in our country, this should not happen in anywhere in the world. This is such a serious crime which is unfortunately happening, and we are not able to do it. So it is a right time that we should implement our laws more properly, and there should be a stricter, there should be there should be huge punishments for these crimes, and they should be dealt very strictly, and this should be ended in any way possible. This is exactly what this article is about. Now with this, let's move to the another article. Let's see what is given here. Well, the article here, it is talking about the snake by the name Barbados thread snake. Barbados thread snake. It was thought for a long time that they had gone extinct, but recently they were again spotted. On the IUCN list, they are critically endangered. So as it was in the news, it becomes important for an IAS aspirant. A question about it can be asked in the exam. So let's have a look at it, what kind of question can be asked. Here the question says, with reference to the Barbados thread snake, which has recently been in news, consider the following statements. First, it is currently recognized as the smallest known snake species in the world. 100% correct. It may fit on a coin. This is how much small it is. It may be 10 centimeters. It is highest length is 10 centimeters, and it lays only one egg. Second, it is endemic to the Caribbean islands of Barbados. Correct. It is primarily preys on small vertebrates like frogs and lizards. That's true. It reproduces parthenogenetically. Meaning females can lay fertile eggs without mating. That's also true. So with respect to this question, all the four statements are correct. So please do note these important questions which we discuss here. As I always tell you guys, that once we are discussing these articles, it is not only important for you to listen them, but what I write here, what questions I bring here, please do note these questions. Develop your own question bank. As I always say, when your exams would be there, you would want to revise the current affairs, but time would not permit you, and you cannot, nobody can say that they had revised everything what happened in one and a half year. So at least you will have these questions, you would revise these questions will give you the proper idea what was in the news, and it will develop your habit of solving the questions, and eventually there are chances that these questions may be directly asked in the exam. If not directly, many statements may coincide in the exam, and if not the statements, trust me, at least the concepts would come into the exam. Maybe this question about the Barbados thread snake will come in the exam. At least you will have some idea what it is about, how it reproduces, how it preys, what it is called the smallest snake. It can fit on the 1 rupee coin, and it also, we got the idea about its size. It is 10 centimeter, and how it lays eggs. So we get some information through this, and if you have this last mile information, last mile revision before the exam, it is eventually going to help you. So please listen to me, do write these questions if you are watching my videos. Now With this, let's move to the another article. Well, article here is about the Indian officials reach to post-Assad governments in Syria. Historically we had a great relationship with Syria, especially if we will go to the recent history, especially to the Assad family. Bashar al-Assad and his father, we had great relationship with them. But after the toppling of his government, the Ahmed al-Jarrah, you know, the the now president of the interim president of the Syria, who actually belonged to the militant organization earlier, Hayat al-Tahrir al-Sham. He belonged to that militant organization. Now, eventually, Ahmad al-Sharrah, he has become the who was earlier known as the Julani. Now he has become the Syrian president, and now after so long, as we were watching it keenly, that world is trying to contact these people, and eventually we had started to contact them. Our officials met the foreign minister of his government, and now we will see the we will start our relationship, we will restore our relationship with this Syria time, in the coming time. So this was a little update which you needed to know about this article. Now let's move to the last article of today's discussion. Well, it says Kaziranga in Assam records third highest tiger density in India after Bandipur and Corbett, National Park. So first it is Bandipur Tiger Reserve, who has the highest tiger density. Then it is the second is Corbett National Park, who has the second highest density, and then third it is the Kaziranga Tiger Reserve, who has the third highest density with respect to the tiger density. So please do know this data, it may be asked in the exam. So with this, let us see what kind of question can be asked. Here the question says, according to the most recent comprehensive tiger census and related reports, which of the following tiger reserves in India has been reported with one of the highest tiger densities per square kilometers across its surveyed area? It is definitely Bandipur Tiger Reserve. Then we saw that what are the next two. So with this, we had completed our today's discussion. I hope you would have liked the video. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.